The mahogany doors of Salm, Sterling so. Industry's main conference room swung open as I walked in, my heels clicking against the marble floor. The board members barely glanced up. They never did. To them, I was just Victoria Sterling, the founder's youngest daughter. The one who played at business while my stepbrother, Alexander Cohn, ran the company. Coffee black, 2 sugars, Alexander called out without looking up from his papers. And make sure it's hot this time. I straightened my Armani suit, not that they'd notice, and took my seat at the far end of the table. Actually, I said evenly, I'm here for the board meeting. My stepmother, Diana's. Perfectly plucked eyebrows rose. Victoria dear, this is an executive board meeting. Perhaps you misunderstood the memo. No misunderstanding, I replied, opening my laptop. As majority shareholder, I have every right to be here. That got their attention. Alexander finally looked up from his financial reports, his confident smirk faltering. A majority shareholder. That's impossible. Father controls 51% of the shares. Controlled, I corrected quietly. Past tense. My father, Marcus Sterling, finally deigned to acknowledge me. Victoria, what game are you playing? I projected a document onto the conference room screen. A share transfer agreement dated 6 months ago. No game, father, just good business. While Alexander was busy running the company into the ground, I was buying shares through my investment firm. As of last week, I own 63% of Sterling Industries. The room erupted. This must be a joke. She can't possibly. Marcus, did you know about this? My phone buzzed with frantic family messages. Cousin Paul, tell me this is a mistake. Aunt Clara, how did you even get the money? Uncle Robert, does your father know about this? I raised my voice slightly to answer everyone's questions at once. This is not a mistake. I used profits from my other businesses. You know, the ones you all dismissed as hobby companies. And yes, father knows now. Alexander shot to his feet, face reddening. This is ridiculous. You can't just walk in here and... I can't. I cut him off. And Section 8.3 of the company bylaws. Majority shareholders can call emergency board meetings and make immediate leadership changes. Would you like me to continue quoting the bylaws you never bothered to read? Diana's hand trembled as she reached for her water glass. Victoria, if this is about us asking you to handle catering for board meetings, this is about the $300 million in losses Alexander has hidden through creative accounting, I interrupted, projecting another set of documents. Shell companies, fake investments, stock manipulation, all of it. The color drained from dancing Alexander's Gomauk face. And how did you access the real numbers? Amazing what you can find when people think you're just the coffee girl, I said. They leave computers unlocked. They speak freely. They forget I have a business degree from Harvard. My father's voice turned stern. The same voice that had dismissed my ideas for years. Victoria, you're making serious accusations against your brother. Stepbrother, I corrected. And they're not accusations, they're facts. Facts the SEC will be very interested in. I pressed a button on my phone. Security, please come to the main conference room and bring the auditors. Alexander lunged for his laptop, but I was faster. Remote access has already been disabled. I informed him, along with all executive credentials. Amazing what you can do when you actually understand technology instead of relying on yes men. You can't do this, he sputtered.
I'm the CEO!
I corrected, pulling up another document. The board is about to vote on new leadership. Though given the SEC investigation about to begin, your next title might be defendant. The doors opened. Security stepped in, followed by stern-faced investigators and forensic accountants. Sterling, the lead investigator nodded. We're ready to begin. Alexander's face went from red to pale. You're working with the SEC? Have been for months, and I confirmed. Those weekend charity events I organized? Perfect cover for meetings with investigators. You all thought I was just playing party planner. Another buzz from my phone. Cousin Lisa. Oh, what's happening? Uncle George, what the SEC, what did you do? Aunt Harriet. What about our shares? Your shares are safe, I announced to the room. Well, as safe as they can be, considering how much value Alexander has already destroyed. But don't worry, I have a recovery plan, one that doesn't involve offshore shell companies. The accountants began setting up while security collected devices. This is a mistake. My father tried one last time. Victoria, we're family. Family? I laughed. Like when you made me serve coffee to my younger cousins during board meetings, or when Alexander said I should stick to women's work instead of finance. My phone lit up again with a breaking news alert. Breaking. Sterling Industries under SEC investigation. Emergency leadership change expected. The room fell silent as the weight of it all sank in. Let's review the last 3 years, I continued, pulling up more documents. Project Phoenix, a $100 million investment in a tech startup that mysteriously vanished. Care to explain that, Alexander? That was a legitimate business loss, he muttered weakly. Really? Because the money trail leads straight to a shell company in the Caymans. Your shell company? And then there's the Richardson merger. Reported cost $50 million. Actual cost $75. The difference? I looked around the table. Conveniently hidden offshore. The board shifted uneasily. Facts, I corrected, nodding toward the investigators. All documented, all verified. Would you like to see the evidence I've collected while serving your coffee these past 3 years? The Niantown stood abruptly, her designer suit now looking like fragile armor. This is absurd. You can't possibly understand these complex business matters. Harvard MBA, summa cum laude, I interrupted, plus a master's in financial forensics. You'd know that if you'd ever bothered to read my resume instead of asking me to plan Christmas parties. Another buzz lit my phone. Breaking. Sterling Industries stock halted amid probe. Major leadership shakeup expected. Sources confirm massive accounting irregularities. I smiled. Gentlemen and ladies of the board, shall we proceed? Alexander made a desperate grab for his briefcase, but security was faster. In that briefcase, I informed the investigators. You'll find documents about Project Chimera, another failed investment hidden through creative accounting. Alexander keeps a copy of the real numbers in the false bottom. Alexander sputtered. How did you know about the false bottom? I smiled. I've been watching you hide documents there every Tuesday after executive meetings. Amazing what you notice when people think you're just part of the furniture. The lead investigator opened the briefcase, finding exactly what I described. Alexander slumped in his chair, defeated. Now I continued smoothly. Let's discuss the company's future. First order of business, accepting Alexander's resignation, effective immediately. You can't force me to resign, he said, though his voice lacked conviction. Actually, I can. Section 10.44 of the company bylaws. Majority shareholders can remove executives for cause. Would you prefer I list all the causes or move straight to the criminal charges? The room fell silent. Security began escorting non-essential personnel out, while the board members sat frozen, watching their comfortable world collapse. For those wondering about your positions, I announced, the board will be restructured. Those who knowingly participated in Alexander's schemes will be joining him in early retirement. Those who were merely negligent. I let my eyes rest on each face. Will have one chance to prove their value to the new management. My father finally found his voice. The investors, the major shareholders, have already been briefed. I finished for him. While you laughed at my little investment club, I was building relationships with institutional investors. They're fully behind the leadership change. I projected another document, a letter of support signed by our largest institutional shareholders. You'll know, my assistant called from the doorway. The press is gathering in the lobby. They're requesting a statement about the SEC investigation. Alexander jerked upright. The press? You invited the press? No, Alexander. Your creative accounting invited the press. I just made sure they knew where to find the story. I turned to my assistant. Tell them we'll have a full statement in an hour. Make sure they receive copies of the preliminary audit findings. Diana's cue. Manicured hands trembled as she reached for her designer bag. This will destroy the family name. The family name? I laughed. Nay, the same name you used to justify excluding me from real business discussions. The name Alexander hid behind while embezzling millions. That name needs some destruction. My phone buzzed with more family messages. Cousin David, are our shares worthless now? Uncle Henry, what have you done to our legacy? Aunt Eleanor, how could you betray family like this? Interesting, I said, reading them aloud. None of you worried about betraying family when you relegated me to serving coffee, or when Alexander bought his third vacation home with company funds while cutting employee benefits. The forensic accountants boxed up documents in hard drives. One approached with a preliminary report. Sterling, we've already found evidence of at least $400 million in misappropriated funds. Alexander Sorban went pale. My father gripped his armrest so tightly his knuckles turned white. "Thank you," I said, taking the report. "Please ensure the SEC gets copies immediately." I faced the room. Now shall we discuss the restructuring plan, or would anyone else like to explain these numbers first? The doors opened. Security escorted in the remaining board members. Mr. Harrison, the chairman who had quietly supported my investigation, nodded respectfully. "Mr. Sterling," he announced formally, "the board has unanimously approved your appointment as CEO, effective immediately." Alexander collapsed into his chair, his perfect world crumbling. "The board. Our board. Dad, you're the chairman emeritus. Stop this." My father stared at the damning financials on the screen, then at the board members. The truth was finally sinking in. "You all knew about this?" he demanded. "We've been watching Victoria's progress for years," Mr. Harrison replied. While Alexander was hiding losses, she was building a reputation in the financial world under her professional name. Diana clutched her bag. "What professional name?" I smiled. "Sarah Maxwell. The same Sarah Maxwell named Financial Times CEO of the Year last month. The same Sarah Maxwell Alexander quoted in his presentation earlier about innovative business strategies." Gasps echoed around the room. "That's impossible," my stepmother whispered. "Victoria, Sarah Maxwell is the youngest woman to build a billion-dollar investment empire. The one who turned around failing companies like Preston Global and Tech Fusion." I finished for her. "That's me. You'd know that if you'd ever bothered to check what I was actually doing instead of assuming I was playing at business." Security approached. "Alexander." "Sir, we need you to step away from your computer. SEC protocols require immediate securing of executive devices." "This is our company," Alexander protested weakly. "Our family's legacy. And I'm family," I reminded him. "The one you dismissed. The one you said would never understand real business." The next hour was a blur. CC investigators began their audit. Security escorted the Alexandrians and his team out. The board approved sweeping leadership changes. My family sat in stunned silence, watching their hierarchy collapse. My phone buzzed with urgent media requests. Wall Street Journal. Exclusive interview with the new CEO. Bloomberg. Comment on the SEC investigation. Live interview request for market opening. Before we conclude, I told the room, let's be clear about what happens next. The company stays in the family, just under different management. Proper management. "And us?" my stepmother asked quietly. "You'll retain your shares, minus voting rights until the SEC investigation concludes. Dividends will continue, though they'll be smaller once we start reporting real numbers instead of Alexander's fantasy accounting." As Alexander was escorted out, he turned back bitterly. "The coffee runs. We made you do coffee runs." "Yes," I said, settling into his former chair. "And while you congratulated yourselves in this boardroom, I built an empire that could buy your company 3 times over. Funny how life works, isn't it?" Through the window, I watched their luxury cars disappear from the building that would soon bear a new name. My phone rang. The Forbes editor I'd been working with. "Ready for your cover story? We're thinking, from coffee runs to corner office, how Victoria Sterling built an empire while serving espresso." I looked around the boardroom that had dismissed me for years. Now mine, along with everything else. "Perfect," I replied. "But let's do the photo shoot in the break room next to the coffee machine where they always said I belonged." A market alert flashed on my phone. Sterling Industries stock to resume trading under new leadership. Analysts predict 50% jump on opening. I smiled, remembering all the board meetings I spent serving coffee while memorizing spreadsheets and recording conversations. Turns out the best seat in the house was behind the coffee cart. They just didn't know it. "One more thing," I told my assistant. "Send a memo to all employees. First order of business under new management. The break room staff gets a raise. After all, some of the best business lessons happen while serving coffee." The sun set over the city skyline as I stood in my new office. Alexander's. Old corner suite. On my desk sat a single coffee cup, a reminder of where I started and how far I'd come. Tomorrow, the business world would wake up to a new Ta Sterling. Industries, one run by the coffee girl they should have taken seriously. Want more stories of sweet revenge and satisfying justice? Join the HK Revenge family! Hit the subscribe button to become part of our community. Don't forget to like this video and share it with someone who needs a dose of karma. Your support helps us bring you more amazing stories.